Welcome to Shelf Life, the show where every week we put one food and beverage brand on the table and take its social media apart. The good, the bad, and the thing everybody's about to copy and shouldn't. I'm Giovanni Gallucci, and across the table this week, new voice in the rotation, Chloe Dawn. Chloe, welcome in.
Thanks, Gio. I brought a can. Fishwife. Tinned fish, hand illustrated. 400% more charming than it has any right to be.
That's a good one to start on, because Fishwife is sitting on top of a wave right now, and almost nobody's grading the actual work underneath it. Started in 2020, Becca Milstein and Caroline Goldfarb. They took the dustiest corner of the grocery store and made it a personality.
The canned fish aisle, which is a $2.6 billion category nobody under 40 had walked down since childhood.
And now, Pinterest has sardines breakfast up 1,800%. Somebody moved that needle. Let's find out how much of it was them.
Start where you always start. The hook. Fishwife shows up in my feed. Why do I stop?
Because the tin doesn't look like food, it looks like a poster, and that's a deliberate choice, not a happy accident. They hired an illustrator named Danny Miller, and Fishwife was the first packaging job he'd ever done in his life. Bright, weird, hand-drawn, a little bit naive on purpose. He ended up part owner of the company. That's how central the drawing is to the business.
So the art is the ad.
The art is the ad, and it's the shelf sign, and it's the thumbnail. One asset doing three jobs. That's the cheapest thing in marketing, and almost nobody builds for it.
Why not? It seems obvious.
Because most brands design the package for the shelf and then hire somebody else to make the content. 2 departments, 2 budgets, 2 review cycles. Fishwife designed one object that performs in a store aisle at 4 feet and on a phone at 4 inches. Same drawing. When your packaging is already a piece of content, every customer photo is a brand asset you didn't pay for.
Grade it.
Solid A on the hook. And here's the part I want operators to actually hear. They didn't buy attention, they manufactured a reason for it. There's a difference between a brand that's interesting and a brand that's photogenic. Fishwife is both, but photogenic is the one that compounds. Because photogenic is what strangers do for free.
I've noticed my whole feed doing tinned fish boards. Not the brand, just people.
That's the tell. Pinterest has tinned fish charcuterie board up 305%. Those aren't ads. That's a category behavior Fishwife helped invent and now gets to ride. Best position in the game is when the trend itself carries your logo in the frame.
Second thing you grade. Format fit. Right formats? Right platforms?
Mostly yes, and they're clear-eyed about the split, which is rare. Milstein has said it plainly. Instagram is where they go deep with people who already love them. TikTok is where they go find strangers. 2 platforms, 2 completely different jobs.
Most brands post the same thing to both.
Most brands post the same thing to both and then wonder why one channel's flat. Instagram is your dinner table. TikTok is your front door. You don't greet a stranger at the door the way you talk to somebody who's already sitting down eating.
What does that look like in practice for them?
On Instagram, it's community, in-jokes, the announcement of the new thing, the cookbook, the collab, the event. It assumes you know who they are. On TikTok, it's explanatory. Here's what tinned fish even is. Here's how you eat it. Here's the illustrator. Meet Danny. That video existed because a stranger asked who drew the cans.
They made content out of a comment.
They made content out of a comment, and that's the single highest return thing a small brand can do. There's research out this month. 400 marketing leaders, 88% say they're producing more creative than ever, and only 45% say it got any better. 17% say they always feed actual audience input into the work.
So everyone's making more of nothing.
Everyone's making more of nothing. The constraint was never production capacity. It's knowing what to make. And a 3-person brand that reads its own comment section has an input a giant is now hiring a consultancy to go reconstruct. Fishwife's whole format strategy is downstream of listening.
Grade.
A minus. The minus is that the education work on TikTok is doing enormous lifting for the entire category, not just for them. Every competitor benefits from Fishwife teaching America how to eat a sardine. That's generous. It's also a little dangerous, and we'll get to why.
Third, cadence. Volume, consistency, rhythm.
This is where they've built something I think is genuinely repeatable, and it isn't a posting schedule. It's a manufacturing schedule for news. Roughly three-quarters of the marketing job over there is planning and executing newness. At least one real moment every single month.
Define a moment.
A collab tin, a limited drop, a cookbook, an event, a retail launch. Something with a date on it that a person could circle. The Fly by Jing Chili Crisp Salmon is the cleanest example. That's a real product you can buy at Target and Whole Foods. And it's also a story that ran everywhere for 2 weeks.
So the cadence isn't posts, it's occasions.
The cadence is occasions. And that's the reframe I'd hand every operator listening. Most brands ask, how many times a week should we post? Wrong question. The right question is, how often do we give people something to actually react to? Because a feed without occasions is just wallpaper, and wallpaper doesn't get shared.
That sounds expensive.
It sounds expensive because you're picturing a new SKU. It doesn't have to be. An occasion can be a recipe you name and own, a holiday you invent, a bracket, a customer of the month. The Fly by Jing tin is the deluxe version. The mechanic underneath it costs nothing but a calendar and a decision.
Why do so few brands run it?
Because it requires somebody to decide in January what November looks like. And most social teams are staffed to react, not to plan. They're built like a fire department. Fishwife's built like a magazine. A magazine knows its December issue in August.
Grade.
A. That's the most stealable thing in this entire teardown, and it's free.
Fourth, community. How do they turn an audience into a fan base?
Foundation was laid before there was a team. Milstein ran every piece of that social account herself for the first 2 years. Every caption, every comment, every DM.
2 years is a long time to answer your own DMs.
It's a long time, and it's the asset. You can't buy what those 2 years built. When one person is in every conversation, the voice fuses. There's no brand voice document, there's just a person. And people can feel the difference instantly. Then when you finally hire, the new person has 2 years of real transcript to learn from instead of a slide deck.
Most founders hand social off in month 3.
Most founders hand it off in month 3 to the youngest person in the building because they assume the youngest person understands the internet. And what they've actually done is outsource the only part of the company where the customer talks back. That's not a chore you delegate. That's your research department.
What's the payoff for Fishwife?
More than a third of their customers say they found the brand through social. Not paid, not shelf, not press. Social. For a food brand, that number's extraordinary. That means the community isn't a marketing channel sitting next to the business. It's the top of the funnel.
294,000 followers on Instagram. Is that big enough?
It's plenty. And honestly, it's the right size. 294,000 people who genuinely care beats 2 million who scrolled past once. The number I'd want isn't followers, it's how many of them made something. Posted a board, sent a tin to a friend, tagged a recipe. Fishwife's got a real answer to that. Most brands with bigger numbers don't.
Grade.
A. Founder run for 2 years is the moat. Everything else here's technique. That part is history and nobody can go back and get it.
Fifth, retail to social loop. The grocery angle. How does the feed drive the shelf?
This is the strongest and the most fragile part of the whole operation. 1,800 retail doors, Whole Foods, Target, and now Costco rolling out nationwide. And on Shark Tank, they showed about $6 million a year in revenue. She asked $350,000 for 4% and closed with Lori Grenier and Candace Nelson at 6 plus an advisory point.
She took the money for the doors, not the cash.
She took the money for the doors, which is the right instinct. But here's where I'd push. Right now, the loop mostly runs one direction. Social makes the brand famous, famous gets you the door sells the tin. What I want to see, and what almost nobody in grocery does well, is the shelf-feeding content back.
What does that even look like?
It looks like the Costco run being a piece of content, not a press release. Send people to find it. Make the aisle a scavenger hunt. Ask for the photo of the pallet. A shopper standing in a warehouse holding a stack of tins is more persuasive than any studio shot you'll ever pay for. And it's a post that only exists because you asked.
So the ask is the mechanic.
The ask is the mechanic. Distribution news gets treated as a business milestone and posted once. It's actually a content prompt with a national footprint attached. Every new door is a new place to send your people, and the trip is the story.
Grade.
B+. The doors are elite. The loop's only running downhill so far.
Okay, one thing they fix first.
Turn the retail footprint into a participation engine. They've earned the shelf. Now make the shelf produce content. Every Costco, every Target, every Whole Foods is a place they can send 294,000 people, and every one of those trips is a post they didn't have to make. That's the highest leverage unclaimed thing on their board.
And the mistake everybody copying them is about to make?
Copying the tin. I can already see it coming. Pretty illustration, weird colors, hand-drawn fish, and a founder who thinks the art is the strategy. The art isn't the strategy. The art is the finish on top of 2 years of one person answering every DM and a calendar that manufactures something to talk about 12 times a year.
So the drawing is the last step, not the first.
The drawing is the last step. You can hire an illustrator on Friday. You can't hire 2 years of somebody caring. And here's the piece that'll bite them. Fishwife's been teaching the whole country how to eat tinned fish, which means the next 20 brands walk into a market that's already educated and just need a nice can. Being first pays. Being generous with the education costs. If Fishwife doesn't lock down the community mechanic hard right now, they'll have done the teaching and somebody else will do the selling.
Educate the market, lose the market.
Happens more than anybody admits. That's Shelf Life. I'm Giovanni Gallucci. Chloe, good first outing.
I'll bring something worse next week.
That's the spirit. See you next Monday.